Hey everybody, Cameron here. This is my story about the time I saw a ghost. I've always had a lot of trouble sleeping, so when I got a job working overnights at Walmart, I knew I was going to struggle with staying up on the days off. I needed a way to keep myself awake at night so I could keep an easier sleep schedule throughout the coming week. So I made a couple of friends with similar schedules as mine to help occupy my lonely nights for a while. And what they did with their time was what I would call thrill-seeking, so to speak. They went out to abandoned factories or roamed through old cemeteries and forgotten housing buildings and just basically did whatever they could to scare themselves late at night. It sounded like a great way for me to pass the time without giving in to sleep, so it wasn't long before I became a member of the team. We would often end up in some crazy places lost in the countryside, doing things we never thought we'd get away with. And the best part? It was free. After some time, we had been to most of the exciting places in our area and so began to start heading deeper into the country for thrills. Our first choice was an old farming property originally owned by the KKK. It was long since abandoned and surrounded on all sides by nothing but country fields for days. We headed out at about 11 o'clock p.m. Sitting in Ryan's truck rumbling along the freeway, I had some time to think about the details of our destination. From what this couple had told me, basically there was a farmhouse out on this property with an outside basement or cellar in which at some point in time was supposedly used to keep African Americans hostage for some terrible reason in the future. Rumors of torture and lynchings in the cellar were common as they had heard much about this place from their relatives. As an aside, I myself had not heard much of this property, but a quick Google search shows that they were likely not far from the truth. Already I'm kind of excited because this is more scary a place than we usually would go. But on top of that, it's very dark, and we're out in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing out here for miles. We're driving and it's just corn on both sides. The moon is out, but it's not bright, and it's the only visible light I can see on either side of the horizon. So, as we're pulling up to this place, I already don't have a good feeling. I didn't think we were going to get out for this one. Usually when we go somewhere really scary, we just kind of look at it from the car. We're not too stupid with what we do, but apparently Ryan and Taylor had been here before, and so this time they wanted to go in and explore. And I'm like, fuck that. Definitely staying in the truck for this one. After some bickering, we've established that there's no way I'm going to go in there. So they go in without me. And I'm sitting in the truck, and it's a pretty big Ford, but somehow a flashlight and some locked doors still feels pretty useless against the dangers of the dark. And as they're walking up, I'll try to describe the house to you. There's a dirt road here, and then an old fence that runs across the property. And let's see, there's like a little house and then a slightly bigger house behind it. And then you can see there's also an opening where it clearly goes downstairs to the cellar. But that's about as far as I can describe this place to you. Windows are down in the truck so I can hear calls for help if anything goes wrong, and I have a big mag light for protection. Regrettably, didn't bring any firearms along for the ride. So, they're going off ahead of me and I'm shitting bricks already. I don't want them to go. But I don't want them to know this either. I'm worried for them, but I'm keeping my mouth shut for my own sake later. Well anyways, they're checking out this house and they're messing around and they're peeking down these stairs, but there's no way they're going to go down to the basement where supposed terrible hate crimes have taken place. When they've seen enough of that, they head around to the other side of the house, where I lose sight of them. Some time goes by, but it feels like forever. If I had a guess, I'd say they were gone for about 5 minutes. But when you're scared to fucking death, things really take a long time to happen. It was an eternity on my end. Eventually, I work up enough courage to try to head outside and bring them back to the truck. But they want to keep exploring. So they keep looking and I just go back to the truck. Sitting in a fetal position like, I just want to go home. This is not a good night. This is not what I wanted to do today. And I don't know how much time was passed, but eventually I start dozing off. My adrenaline had faded away, and along with it my eye's strength was following suit. Just before I completely gave in to sleep, something stirred me into consciousness. A light. Fleeting in the distance. The only thing that I could see. The surrounding area is so dark that it makes the beam look more like a star than something of this world. But it's moving pretty quick, and soon enough I can tell that what I'm staring at are the headlights of a car. Shit. We haven't seen any cars out here all night, and and we're on a backcountry road on a property we shouldn't be on, in a place known for harboring violent people. Carefully watching it, I can definitely tell it's coming our direction. I start honking the horn frantically, and they come ripping around the corner, having seen it too. We pile into the car, but we don't fire it up. He leaves the headlights off too, so that we're sitting in the pitch black. Let's just wait it out. They'll probably drive right by. So we're off on a side road, and the better paved busy road stems from it. It's partially hidden from our view, hopefully shielding us from any possible view of the truck. The headlights are approaching, and Taylor is starting to break down. But Ryan seems in control, one hand gripping the steering wheel, the other fixed tightly around the keys resting in the ignition. Now we watch, silently. The car doesn't slow down as it approaches the driveway turnoff, and I begin to relax my breathing. Then, at seemingly the last second, the car swerves onto the drive and heads directly towards us. Shit! He fires up the car and slams it into gear, then makes a U-turn through the field to our right, swerving past what I can now tell was an old Chevy truck with bubbles over the tires. We peel out onto the highway and the chase is on. We don't know what these people think of us. We don't know what their plan is. All we know is that they could have a gun, and they're tailing us as fast as they can. Taylor's crying now as Ryan accelerates to 70. I can see headlights fast approaching, about 5 miles back. We're doing 90 now, and this thing's still catching up. I remember being surprised that a truck that old could even get up to such high speeds. Everybody in the car is in a full panic. Everyone's screaming something hysterical, something crazy, while this truck is still gaining on us. We're weaving and winding down different country roads, but I can still see lights behind us. We realize now that we can't outrun it, so Ryan decides to do the opposite. Put on your seatbelts, he yells as he slows the truck down. The headlights are bigger than ever now when Ryan actually slams on his brakes. The tires screech as we brace for impact, but it never comes. Yeah, it never comes. My eyes dart back to the headlights and they're gone. And as I turn back around, I see it. 2 taillights in front of us, careening off into the distance. The old Chevy truck was behind us, and then it was in front of us. It didn't swerve, it couldn't have swerved, but somehow it made its way to the other side of our very large Ford. To this day, I still have no possible way of explaining it. We went back to the road where it happened the next day, and though we found our skid marks, there were no signs of another car being present, and the crops on either side of the road show no markings of tire tracks or tread in the dirt. Every time I see one of those old, 50s, 60s, 70s Chevy trucks, I still get this feeling that comes through me that reminds me of that event, and just the questions that I have and not understanding what happened. Not understanding what we saw, but clearly it was not something explainable by any sort of knowledge that I have. When I tried contacting Ryan to get his take on the story, he was decidedly hesitant. Understandably so. But I still wanted to get this story to you guys, so I guess that's my take on it. So please leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you would like more stories, don't forget to subscribe. And comment below to tell me what you think happened that night. Maybe someone was pranking us. I don't know. You tell me.